Welcome into Before Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, extension of 5 on the Floor. Check out our website, 5reasonsports.com. You're on the YouTube channel, or you might be. If you're watching this on Twitter, then make sure you check it out on the YouTube channel. We're going to be doing a post-game podcast and also a post-game stream. I'm going to be hosting the pod. Alphonse Sidney is going to be hosting the stream. Probably be more alcohol consumed on the stream. So make sure that you check that out. That'll be right after the game. I've got Brady Hawk with me. I've got Alfredo Arteaga with me. We might be joined by Greg Sylvander. Alfredo's keeping his streak alive of Heat wins when he's here in the pregame. You can follow him at Alf_Arteaga and also Brady Hawk. 305 on Twitter. He's the one posting the recaps and the takeaways. Let's get right to it. The Heat are up 3-0 in this series. Milwaukee did not look great today, but pulled away in the fourth quarter. Chris Middleton made a bunch of shots after it didn't seem to matter very much. He's been struggling, not as badly as playoff P, but he's been struggling during the postseason. Finally got it to going a little bit today. But one of the things that's important about this game for the Heat is that Milwaukee's going to have to play deeper than Miami if Miami can close this today. Because Milwaukee would have to play on Wednesday. The earliest the next series could start is Friday. If it's going to start on Friday, you want to get 3 days rest instead of 1 day rest in between. So I do think they'll be motivated today. Brady, do you expect any specific changes from the Heat from what we've seen the first 3 games?
I don't think there's going to be any major changes except maybe getting some Nunn minutes throughout this game, just getting him, like you said before, getting him prepared for this Milwaukee series where he could really thrive against that team that allows so many threes. And mentioning just the way this game's going to be played, I think this is going to be one of Miami's hardest games just because in the end they play hard. And I think that this is going to be one of those games that they're going to play. They got all those young guys that they're just going to play their hardest no matter what it is. So I think this is going to be a tough game for Miami just to see what their mindset is. If they're up 3-0, if they can continue and keep that same mindset that they've been. And that's going to be a big thing from Jimmy Butler. So I think it's just going to be a big test today.
Playoff Jimmy, as the Heat tweeted out, as the Sixers were falling apart. By the way, Brett Brown has been fired after 7 seasons. Not a huge surprise. I don't think they'll hire a coach anytime soon in Philadelphia. I think they're going to wait to see who comes in potentially to replace Elton Brand, and then you'll see a head coach that's hired. There are a couple of current GMs that are in the playoffs right now who may end up getting that Philadelphia job. I'll just throw that out there. So I think that may be a little bit of time. Again, the GM, and from what I heard, is going to come first. Alfredo, before, again, we get to some of the things off the game here, anything different that you're anticipating?
One very particular thing. First of all, you never want to hope for injuries or talk about injuries being a factor, but they really are. And the longer you go in a series, the more that comes into effect. So you want to get rid of this series tonight, and that's it. And then as far as Milwaukee, yeah, they're going to be extended. That gives them more time to have deader legs, less time to be ready for us. But one thing I would like to see, and I don't know if it's getting out of character as far as the series, I don't know if it'll make much of a difference, but can Kendrick Nunn get any type of run?
Did I just lose you?
You got me?
Yeah,
I'm right here. You still hear me? Yeah, I'd like to see if Kendrick Nunn gets any type of run going into this Milwaukee series because I think we would need him in that series.
Yeah, you already know I'm on the same page. I think they kind of need his shooting, and the Bucks are going to give up a lot of threes. We talked about the other day that he did well versus the Bucks this year, and Brook Lopez drops further back than anybody on the pick and roll. So not only is the 3 going to be open for him, but a lot of times he can get that little mid-range pull-up, or he gets those floaters that he got against Brook Lopez too. Because when you just know that Brook Lopez is going to be all the way back there, there's no decision making, right? It's just okay, get to that shot, and I think that makes it easier on Kendrick Nunn. So I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of see him again.
And he would get Milwaukee moving. Like if his penetration is going to get Milwaukee moving, getting them off our shooters, opening up our offense. So, man, it'd be great if they can open up a big lead and then give Kendrick Nunn some meaningless 12 minutes in the second half. That'd be great.
Alf, I want to get to you on this game, but I do think we should touch on Milwaukee here for a second. I mean, we can look ahead even if the Heat can't. I don't know how much of I'll throw this all of you. I don't know how much of the Bucks Magic series you guys have watched. I couldn't watch it for some reason on NBA TV in Fort Lauderdale. which, and I know you had the same problem in Sunrise. But from what I've seen of that series, there have been some things that the Magic have done that I think maybe the Heat can take in the next series. One of which is they basically loaded up on Chris Middleton, and he's looked totally confused instead of loading up so much on Giannis. Has there been anything in that series? I'll go to you first on this, Al. Has there been anything there in that series that you think Miami can take from Orlando?
Well, the only game I really watched in full was the first one when Vucevic went crazy. The one thing I'll say that Miami doesn't have is a big that's going to make Brook Lopez pay for sagging off and staying in the paint. I mean, Bam is a lot of things, but he's not a shooter. But the one thing that they can do, we see that Miami can get things moving, get guys switched out on other guys, the dribble handoff. If Brook Lopez is guarding Bam on a dribble handoff and just sags into the paint like Alex was saying, there's going to be a lot of open three-pointers. But to Alfredo's point about having another guy that could take someone off the dribble in Nunn would be really, really impactful, because the Magic have some of those guys. And right. I think what's happening with the Magic and the Bucks is more of the, like we said, the shutdown hurt the Bucks more than any other team in the league. And I think they're still trying to get their footing, which is hard to it's hard to fathom. They had 8 games. They've had a season of dominance, and now they're trying to figure shit out, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But I think they are. But the fact that the Magic have those guys that can break them down off the dribble, the Heat are going to need. I think the Heat are going to need Kendrick Nunn. They're going to need more. They're going to need more guys that can attack, and and Hero's going to need to go in his bag a little bit more, doing some of the things he's done that we've seen in the 8 games and the first few games of the playoffs, where he's getting to the lane, floating it high off the backboard, doing some of those things. We're gonna have to see a lot of that.
Kylie, I'll go to you on this. Let's bring it back to Indiana real quick. Brady said something about how the Pacers, before you came on, about how the Pacers will fight in this game because they've got some young guys. I don't dispute that obviously there's some of these guys that will be playing for pride, but I have made this case repeatedly that, I mean, you're stuck in a bubble, away from your families, away from, and you're not winning this series, and you're not winning a championship, and the coach already has a contract extension. So I'm kind of like, what exactly are the Pacers playing hard for today, other than pride?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem like very much, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised that, you have guys on that team who want to win. I mean, honestly, TJ Warren himself might have another pre-Heat bubble game, just because I feel like he has something to prove. But you still have, they have guys that want to win there. I mean, every player wants to win. So I wouldn't be surprised if they manage to pull a win. And honestly, even if they don't play super hard, I mean, not to crap on the Heat, but the Heat have let it come between 2 points in the fourth quarter the last 3 games.
Right.
So what's to say that they don't just magically pull out a win this time?
Let's go to you, Alex, on this. They've started the same lineup. I expect the same lineup is going to start against Milwaukee. They're not going to be major changes made there. You look at the matchups against Milwaukee, I think this starting lineup can hang with Milwaukee, particularly if Jay Crowder is going to be playing Giannis a lot, which I think is the direction that this is going. Other than the Nunn change today, is there anybody else, if Miami gets up, that you care to see? Maybe Myers getting some minutes, if that's going to be something that we see against Milwaukee. Kelly's played well against Milwaukee, so I feel like he's going to be utilized more. But does that matter if Myers gets minutes today?
I mean, honestly, it would make sense to give him minutes too, because I see Myers Leonard the same way Spo does. I think it's somebody who they can kind of look to if things start getting, all of a sudden you're down 2-0 and you need to change things up. But I don't think that's gonna happen from the start. I wouldn't mind it. Like I've kind of said from the start that I would want Bam guarding Giannis. And again, Spo has kind of, he didn't even do it during the regular season. He would take Bam off of Embiid, for example. But I don't know how much I trust Jay to guard Giannis. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit tough. I know they're going to load up on him like crazy. They're going to let the guys shoot. So the one-on-one matchup doesn't necessarily matter as much as it might normally in a regular playoff matchup. But I'm worried about Bam not being on Giannis more. At the end of the day, I'm sure Spo is going to find ways to get that there. It's going to be what happens when they close. I don't doubt that. But like, even if they were to start Bam on Giannis, Jay, like, can he front Brook Lopez and make sure he doesn't get position in the post?
I don't think that's happening. I think
that's why it's a little
Bam
bit tricky.
Starts on Brook, and I think Jay starts on Giannis. I think you save Bam. You don't want Bam, especially if you're playing single big all the time. You can't have Bam picking up foul trouble early in the game. I would anticipate you keep him off Giannis as long as you can, right?
You just made me realize something. Yeah, I get that too. But you just made me realize something. So kind of their big adjustment, the same way that a lot of people want the Lakers to kind of go to more AD at the 5, is Giannis at the 5. Mm-hmm. And just kind of talking through it right now, you made me realize that that's kind of good for the Heat, because then you don't have to worry about that. You can just put Bam and Giannis, and everybody can guard people that they're supposed to guard normally. You get what I'm saying? So that's kind of an extra bonus they got there, where maybe it won't completely destroy you. Match up better with that.
I think Derek Jones, like I said before, I think he's going to have a pretty good series against Milwaukee. Some of his best games this year have come against Milwaukee, and I think other than Crowder and Iguodala getting minutes on, and obviously Bam getting minutes on Giannis, I think Derek Jones is going to get utilized a lot off the bench in that series.
Is he strong enough to guard Giannis for any length of time?
I don't think
that would be my only concern.
I don't think he's strong enough, but I think he's smart enough on defense and quick enough that he can disrupt him as he did earlier in the season. I think you're going to use Crowder more as the toughen him up a little bit, like banging around with him down low. But I think that Derek Jones can be utilized to stop him in a different way. Is just his quickness, and they double teamed him a lot, even when they put Crowder and him a lot in the game together, and they use a lot of double teams with Derek Jones. So I think that's another way they can utilize it as well.
To Brady's point, the Heat have a lot of guys who are really smart on help defense, and they go and they double and they trap at exactly the right time. Even guys like Dragic, Hero, Duncan, like you said, Derek Jones Jr. These guys that may not be stout enough strength-wise to go against Giannis one-on-one, because there's not many people that can do it. Those guys have really good hands, and they're going to be the guys that are going to be sent at Giannis on a double team in the block, and they're very, very disruptive, like Brady was saying.
And part of what guarding Giannis is all about is being lengthy. You have to be on par with him, because the reason he's so good is not because he's extremely skilled, although he is skilled. It's that he's so long that he passes over you. He can shoot over you whenever he wants, and he sees over you, so he can direct things behind you if you're not as big as he is and you're not as lengthy as he is. So it's just being on par with him physically, and that he'd have a lot of guys that can do that.
All right, I want to get to a couple of housekeeping things before we go on. People are saying we're getting too far ahead. One thing is we got our guy Jay Miranda, who is in the bubble today. He's in the digital bubble wearing one of those bubble dribble shirts that Brady is wearing above me. So be on the lookout for him, and we're going to be pushing his stuff out. There you go. Show the shirt. There you go. Myers Leonard was in our rotation at the time. So that's Kelly now, except the hair is different. Also, Adam Smoot is working on a Goran Dragic masterpiece. He's painting it like Van Gogh. It should be available in the next 24 hours. So look for that on our site also. I want to get to a couple of NBA things today, some of which involve the Heat, some social media stuff. There was a report that came out which quoted a Western Conference coach. Could be any of 15, right? Saying that if they were Philadelphia, they would try to trade Embiid to the Heat. And although they don't believe that the Heat would give up Bam, try to get some of their young shooting, whether it's Hero, Alex is shaking his head, Hero, Robinson, and/or Nunn. Thoughts on? I know Jimmy wants Embiid. I know he wants Embiid. So I'm just saying he wants Embiid. Doesn't seem like anybody here wants Embiid. Let's start here. Would anybody in the group trade Bam to get Embiid?
No.
Nope.
No. Also, can I say something? I'm
hard no.
Embiid is a culture fit here at all.
Well, that's the
I
question.
agree. Completely agree.
He gave me more skilled Hassan vibes at times.
Yes, bro. It's like you read my mind.
Oh my god! Like he was
some of the same things.
So salty and run back up the floor, you loser! Like oh god! Like he was.
But do we? But at some point, do we really trust what we say when we talk about culture? Do we trust Eric Spoelstra? Because this guy is skilled.
Oh no, he would
extremely skilled.
He would make it work. Come on,
yeah, of course. But at the same time,
could he make it work next to Bam? if you didn't have to give up, personally, I don't think it's going to happen. I think whoever comes into Philadelphia is going to try to make Embiid and Simmons work for one more year. Okay, one more year.
You would have to keep the shooters to make that work.
How many?
If
you've got to send a package that starts with Duncan Robinson.
I mean, if you got to keep at least one of them, at least Tyler or Duncan.
Can you start Bam, Butler, and Embiid, or do you suddenly look like the Sixers?
And you have
you're going to look like
Duncan on the floor.
Not
you
if
have to have Duncan and Hero.
Right.
You have to have Duncan and Hero with those two guys, with those three guys.
That's ideal.
Like, you turn into Horford and Embiid. I'm saying Bam is better than Horford, of course, but I'm saying they're all packed into this little space. It doesn't work. Unless Jimmy becomes a 38% shooter, a 3-point shooter again, and that's not going to happen.
And you mentioned Jimmy likes and wants Embiid, but if he has to give up Hero and Bam for him, I don't think he likes Hero and Bam a lot too. So
that is correct. I think Jimmy is counting on implosion in Philadelphia and Riley's ability to make something out of nothing. If that happens, and that's why I want to transition to the next one. The other one that was out there today on social, and I tried to shut it down right away, was would you include Tyler Hero right now in a trade for Victor Oladipo? Right now.
No, I hate to be a prisoner. I hate to be a prisoner of the moment, man, but this Victor Oladipo is not anything that gets me excited.
It's not even that. It's that Tyler is so cheap.
And young.
He's young. He's not so much going for him. We don't even know what his ceiling is yet.
And Victor's a proven commodity, but Victor's expensive. Right. Like, I mean, plain and simple. It's like if salaries were the same, hell yes. You know what I mean? If they were the same age and salaries are the same, hell yes.
No, but same age and salaries the same, but not if they're not the same age, right?
No, they're not. So context matters.
But we know that they're into that type of trade, trading a young guy and accelerating your timeline.
That's the Karan Butler and Lamar for Shaq. That's the Josh Richardson for Jimmy. I mean,
I think he keeps looking better and better. At the end of the day, I know that he's not back yet. He's in that transition year. I expect a lot more from him next season. But at the end of the day, like, that opportunity might come before next season. So I keep saying that, but it's very tricky because they could kind of like I'm not a business guy. I did not major in business, but what's you got to determine when to buy in. You know what I'm saying?
And I think those other trades. I think the other trades, it was for sure an upgrade when you look from Jay Rich to Butler. But are we sure that Hero to Oladipo? Obviously, the defensive side is a much better upgrade, but are we sure, looking at it from the full picture, the way Hero's doing on offense, are we sure it's like a upgrade, like a huge upgrade?
I don't know that it is at this point. This comes in from Jack Alfonso. How do you solve their point of attack issues? Hero's never going to be great on defense. You solve it with Kyle Lowry, in my opinion.
That's the thing right there, Ethan. To quote you on your radio show.
Could you solve it with Drew Holiday or Kyle Lowry? Does it have
yes,
to
you
be
can.
Oladipo?
You can. That's why I think there's guys you can get without giving up your young cheap talent.
They're all the same price range, though. If you're talking about that they're too expensive, those guys are all going to make over $30 million, or they are making.
And none of them are free agents this summer, right?
No, but Lowry is next season, 21.
Lowry is getting 27 this year, and then he's a free agent. But they're going to pay Van Vliet probably 23 to 25. And there was a report today that came in that the teams you would expect to be interested in Van Vliet, who will overpay for Van Vliet, they're exactly the ones you'd expect:
the Knicks,
Phoenix, Detroit. Like, somebody's going to make Van Vliet their number one player outside of Toronto's culture, and they're going to be seriously disappointed. And it's a question of whether Masai decides, that we're going to roll with him. But I have heard that Lowry, and we talked about this on 5 and 4 last night, I've heard Lowry really isn't that keen on kind of sharing the spotlight in the backcourt with Fred Van Vliet going forward. So
is he going to be okay with doing it with Duncan?
I mean, I think he'd be okay doing it down here with Jimmy. He loves Jimmy. So I think that's a possibility. All right, let's get to it. We got 2 minutes left, so quickly. Today, bring out the brooms. Is it over?
Kylie? Yeah, it's over. It's over.
One of the owls. It's over. Everybody says it's over?
Yeah, it's over.
I think Indiana, if there's a game that they could win, I think this could be the one. I think that they have a lot to play for, and I think if they do win, I think Miami wins in 5, but I think this might be the one that it goes down to the end and Indiana comes out with the win.
Well, I'm the only one that picked the sweep, so I got to say that it's overtime.
I picked Heat in 5. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pacers just had a good shooting game in 1, but Also, it's just like 3-0. Do they really think that they can come back? Like, does that team have the feel of a team that really believes in themselves like that? At least from what we've seen of them last time, where Victor Oladipo walking out of there like he was done. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if this is the team that's gonna rally. So maybe it is done today.
I mean, you look at the other 3-0 series. The Nets rolled over, right? Philly rolled over.
Yeah, that's pretty much where we're headed, I think.
I mean, I just don't see the point in staying here. Kylie, you haven't jumped in with yours.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to also do this playing catch-up thing at the same time. With my take on who's going to win today.
Yes.
Honestly, I want to say that the Heat are going to win. I wouldn't be like completely and totally surprised if they pull out a W, but I think we've all made good points there. That's the end of the day, though. I think it's like we talked about earlier on like one of the other pregame shows, like the whole gentleman's sweep thing. Like maybe throw them a bone,
Maybe. I think they'll compete, but I think the Heat win today. But again, the other teams have rolled over 3-0, so we'll see what happens.
I've been within 1 point the last 2 games, and I say Heat by 12 today.
All right, there you go. They would cover then because they're 7.5-point favorites. I checked. By the way, thank you, Rockets and Thunder for the over. Much appreciated. Play the over.
They're up 2 right now.
Most of these games, you'll be fine. I want to make an announcement here too. Kylie has a new show. Why don't you tell people about it? Because it's posting today.
What is that noise?
I can't. Like, it's driving me insane.
I think it's Tamara texting me right now.
Is someone on oh, that's your notifications?
Yeah, it's because we were trying to come up with a title for the episode. But anyways, okay. Playing catch-up, it airs tonight. It should air actually within the next few minutes. We're trying to get it done after this pregame show before the Heat actually start playing. So if you want to watch it at any point tonight during the game, perhaps at halftime, perhaps before the game, perhaps after the game, after the postgame show, 5 on the floor, we're going to get you caught up on everything that you missed this weekend in South Florida sports. I mean, Inter Miami, Miami Marlins, Miami Heat, everyone, all of the above. You're not going to want to miss it. It's really good. It's only 10 minutes long, so it's really nice and easily digestible, and we had a lot of fun filming it and editing it as well. So please check it out. It's going to be on the 5 Reasons YouTube page, and I will also be tweeting out links at Kylie R. Wang on Twitter.
And that's every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Mondays, we do it together, and then Wednesdays and Fridays we switch off.
And Tamara Brown, if you don't know, has worked for a bunch of programs in the ACC, and she now works for the University of Miami. So we'll introduce. So she's fellow U. Yes, Al.
Post-game show, I will be hosting. If the Heat lose, I'll be drunk and upset, so you want to tune in. If the Heat win, I'll be drunk and happy, so you'll want to tune in. Either way, it's going to be a good-ass time.
And if the Heat win, I'll show up. If they lose, I won't.
And I think we're doing Ethan's going to be hosting a post-game podcast, which should be up 30, 45 minutes after the game. So we got you covered. If the Heat lose, you'll have company. And if the Heat win, we're going to do pots and pans down Hiatus Road, where I was racially profiled earlier today. But check my Twitter timeline for that one.
You can get into that on Light Skin Things. Alex is going to be, I think, bouncing between the two. So little stream, little pod, little Zoom. He's the utility guy today. So we'll talk soon after the game.
Sweet.
Playing catch up is coming soon.